Alright, now in this lesson, rather than looking at a new tune, we're going to look at an old tune and I'm just going to improvise over it. And I'll get you to learn the improvisation. I'll just do 8 bars. We'll do Big Bill Broonzy's Key to the Highway. And I'll try to illustrate as many of the points as I can that we've just looked at in the lesson about voice leading and chromaticism and target tones and all that sort of stuff. So we'll do Key to the Highway, eh? It's that 8 bar. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that'll do. There's enough in there that we can break down, so we'll go away and write all that down so we can analyse it sort of note for note and see what happened. Okay, back in a minute. Alright, let's have a look at that solo. We'll just do the first 8 bars to start with. I ended up doing 2 rounds. So we'll just do the first 8 and come back and see what happened, yeah? So it was something like this. Okay, excuse that little mistake at the end. I'm reading it as well. So, all right, let's have a look at that, eh? So we start with the 1 chord on top. Now, you'll recognise that little lick from earlier. And I've started with that just because sort of the song goes like that. I got the key to the highway. So we've started the solo like that. And then a little chromatic run up to the 5 chord, to the D. Now, this uses another technique that I didn't speak about earlier, called anticipation. Now, basically all that means is playing your note a bit early. You anticipate the next chord, and it works really well in a swingy, sort of shuffly tune like this. Just sort of keeps you rolling a little bit ahead of where you should be. You know, you're sort of leaning forward, rolling down the hill. So that's what we're doing here. We got to that note there, the A note in this key, which is the 5 for the target chord, a little bit early, right? And that'll happen time and again throughout this. So let's have a look at that. And then come down on the 1 on the bass, on the chord, on the first beat. So it's da da do, 5, 6, 7, and there's the chord. So there's a little bit of a run there, and then you give it a pause, chord response, say something, be silent for a bit. Not that you're silent, you're still playing, but you know what I mean. It's a different effect there. Little chromatic run back to the 4 chord. Same thing, little run, little melody. And then little pause. The melody on that 4 chord now goes back to the 3rd fret, which is the 7th of that chord. The 2nd, which is the 6th, back up again. little bit of chromaticism there, but only within the lick, and then back up to there. Now that note there, we're going back to the 1 chord, is the major third on the 4th fret. Yeah, and again we're anticipating the chord. We're playing a little bit early, so you play the note on the end of the 4th beat just before we come in, and then down on the bass note on the 1. Yeah, so the bass note, you don't anticipate with the bass note in this piece. Sometimes you do. You can if you want. But here we're not doing that. We're using the bass to define the beat more. So we're down there, a little bit of a pause at the start of the bar before we do that little run there to get us into the D. Now this is more what we talk about when we talk about anticipation. This is using that technique a little bit more. So rather than just play the chord tone a little bit early, you're suggesting the new chord sort of half a bar early, not just half a beat. Excuse me, my screen's gone blank. There it is. So the 9 note there on the G chord is part of this D chord that's coming up. So we've got a riff that's heavily based around that 9 chord. It goes 2nd fret, open, 1st fret, 2nd fret. And by the time we get back to there, we're almost at our new chord. So we put the 1 on the bass. So it's 2, open, 1, 2, upbeat, and then down. And then same thing, we've got a little lick, so we give some space after it. Bum. Okay, and then back to the G chord via the 1st fret. On the last beat of that D bar there, it's down on the 1st beat, up to the G note just before the chord comes in. Then we hit the bass and a little turnaround. Yeah, so that's just a little blues riff. What is it? Alright, so there's your first 8. I'll play them again. Rewind this tape to rewind the tape. I said it again. Yeah, go back over this little section of the video to get the details, and you've got the dots and the tab in your notes. So let's see if I can play it again while reading it. What was it? Okay, that's an easy little turnaround really, I just forgot it. Okay, so go away and learn that one first, and then come back and we'll do the second part, which is, we've picked up the complexity a little bit. Cool. All right, now the second part of that solo, I'll just play it through the 8 bars a little bit slow, and I'll read it off the dots there. And then we'll come back and break it down a bit more, eh? So we start on the 1 chord. Again, I made a mistake in that turnaround bar anyway. I'm sure you won't after you've practiced it long enough. Right, let's have a look at that first bar. We're just stating a phrase over the 1 chord. So we're starting again, basically. We can make it a little bit more complex now that we're into our second solo. That's often what happens. So let's have a look at it. It's based around the major scale this time. what is it? Dum, da, 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 da. So major thirds, just one major third, back to the 9. Okay, now over the D chord, I've used the same phrasing, the same rhythm for the melody. Remember, thematic development, variation, repetition. We've repeated the phrasing, repeated the rhythm with a different melody on a new chord, and used some chromaticism to get between the 2nd fret A chord, A note, which is a strong note in the D chord, back to the G open string, which sets us up for the both reminds us of the key we're in and sets us up for the C to come. All right, so let's play that again. Just play the chord when you get there. Yeah, so there's that little riff on at the end of the C chord there, at the end of the 4th bar in this solo. We get to the C chord, down, up. You can see quite often where I play a note to anticipate the next chord, I play the note a little bit early, that there's a little, it's called a tie symbol, that connects the 2 notes across the bar. That means that you don't play the second one, but you allow the first one to play for the length of both of them. So basically you're adding the 2, right? So if that C note there on the 5th fret just before the bar line is worth half a beat, the one after it is worth half a beat, then what you do is you play for 1 beat across the bar line. So I'll play it again slowly. Yeah. So the next bar, da da da. Again, we have a tied note there. So that little riff on the G chord there in the very last line, at the start of the last line. Simple little blues riff really with the minor third this time. Nothing particularly remarkable there. We've got a smooth transition from the G chord there to the D chord there, and that 2nd string bass note allows us to do that. And then another transition to the major this time. Yeah, so that big jump there from there to there, we've got a slide. That was a bit slow, you wouldn't want to play it like that, but accent the end of your solo with that slide there. Yeah? So again, I'll run through it nice and slowly. Okay, so go through that with your tab, and mark little notes, if you like, where we've done stuff like voice leading, where we've moved, which means basically just moving to a new chord over a melody in a smooth fashion, so we're not jumping a large distance, where we've done that with chromatic notes, and where we've used little phrases that anticipate the next chord. Where have we done that on this solo? The very first bar uses that 9 note, so that suggests the D to come. The second bar, we're resolving with that first riff back to the G note, which suggests the C to come. The end of the fourth bar, where we've got that, that's over the C chord, and it works over the C, but it's also a little bluesy riff over the minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, which suggests the G to come. And then I think I was playing it safe at the end. The last few bars are pretty standard by the looks of them. So yeah, there's some ideas in there, some little licks that you can hang on to. So play that solo, and be aware as you're going through the various bits, the various parts of it, which techniques we're using, and try and slowly incorporate them into your playing.